They're not your family anymore, the priest warned over the phone. Moments later, I heard footsteps upstairs. Before I continue, please like this video, subscribe, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Your engagement helps me share more stories like this. I froze where I stood in the hallway, the phone still pressed against my ear even though the call had already cut off. The priest's last words echoed in the quiet of my house, sharp enough to make my hands tremble. They're not your family anymore. I didn't understand it, I didn't want to understand it. But then came the footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Deliberate. Coming from the room I always kept locked. My brother's old room. I swallowed hard. Hello? My voice cracked, barely above a whisper. The footsteps stopped. Silence settled in the house like a thick blanket, wrapping around my chest, squeezing air out of my lungs. I shouldn't have come home. I knew that when I crossed the driveway. I knew it when I unlocked the front door that had once felt like safety. I should have stayed away, like everyone said. But when my mother died 3 days ago, something pulled me back. A sense of responsibility? Guilt? Nostalgia? I couldn't tell. I only knew that home was calling me, and now that I'd answered, I wished I hadn't. I grew up in this house with my parents and my older brother, Marcus. He was always the golden child, the athlete, the straight-A student, the boy everyone loved. I didn't mind. He was kind, protective, and always made space for me. But something happened to Marcus when he turned 17. Something I could never explain. He began waking up in the middle of the night screaming about voices. He said he heard whispers in the walls, felt cold hands touching his shoulders, saw shadows moving in corners where no one stood. My parents dismissed it as stress. By 19, the whispers consumed him. He rarely slept. He rarely ate. Every time he looked at me, it felt as if he were looking through me, as if he saw something behind me that I couldn't see myself. Then one morning, he vanished. No note. No bag packed. No explanation. He was just gone. My parents broke under the weight of it. They tried to act normal, but the cracks grew wider every year. My mother especially never recovered. She lived in denial, setting an extra plate at the table every night, insisting Marcus would walk through the door any day now. He never did. And neither parent ever spoke of the voices he claimed to hear. They only spoke about how I had abandoned the family when I finally moved out at 21. So when I tell you that coming back to this house felt like stepping into a graveyard of memories, you'll understand why that priest's warning shook me the way it did. They're not your family anymore. What did that even mean? I turned toward the stairs. My heart hammered against my ribs as I forced myself to walk toward the sound that had stopped upstairs. Halfway up, the air grew colder. The smell changed too, like dust, old wood, and something metallic. Marcus's door stood wide open. That was wrong. The last time I visited, 7 years ago, my mother made sure it was locked. She said it was to preserve his memory. Now the door gaped open like a mouth waiting to swallow me. I stepped closer. Inside, everything was exactly how he left it, posters on the walls, books on the shelves, clothes folded at the foot of the bed. Except for one thing. A chair stood in the middle of the room, facing the doorway. Someone had been sitting there. I felt watched. I backed away slowly, my breath shaking. Something wasn't right. I needed answers. And I knew exactly where to find them. Father Olanrawaju had been my family's priest for over 20 years. He was the one who officiated my brother's baptism, my parents' renewal of vows, everything. If anyone knew what was going on, it was him. When he opened the door to the church office and saw me, his eyes widened with a mix of relief and dread. "You came," he whispered. "You told me to," I replied. "What did you mean when you said they're not my family anymore?" He motioned for me to sit. His hands shook as he poured us water. "Your brother wasn't mentally ill," he said finally. At least, not in the way people assumed. My heart dropped. He continued, he told me things. Dark things. About the voices he heard. How they said they came from your bloodline, but not from this world. What are you saying? I demanded. The priest sighed heavily. Your brother believed your family was cursed. That something followed your mother's side for generations. He believed he was next. And then he disappeared. I finished for him. No, the priest whispered. He didn't disappear. He left to protect you. I blinked at him. What? Marcus believed the voices wanted you. He believed leaving would keep them from you. The world tilted. I stood abruptly. Father, with all due respect, that sounds insane. Maybe. His voice softened. But he asked me to watch over you. To keep you away from the house. That's why I called today. Why today? Why now? The priest looked at me with eyes full of grief. Because at your mother's funeral. I saw them. I swallowed. Saw who? Your family, he said quietly. Standing behind you. But not the way they looked in life. My skin crawled. What do you mean? He took a long breath. They weren't normal. Their eyes, their faces, something was wrong. They looked twisted. Almost hollow. I shook my head. No. I was with people. I would have seen that. No, he whispered, leaning closer. They weren't with the mourners. They were standing in the shadows, watching you. My stomach twisted. They followed you home. By the time I got back to the house, the sun had set completely. The driveway was dark, except for the faint glow from the kitchen window. Inside, the air felt heavier, like the walls themselves were breathing slowly. I locked the door behind me. The priest's words spun in my head. They followed you home. They're not your family anymore. I took a deep breath and moved toward the stairs. Halfway up, I heard it again. Footsteps. But this time, they weren't upstairs. They were behind me. Slow. Crawling. Coming from the hallway I'd just passed. I froze. The air behind me thickened. My neck prickled. I turned. At the end of the hallway stood 3 figures. My mother. My father. My brother. But the priest was right. Their eyes were wrong. Dark. Empty. Like deep wells where light went to die. Their skin was pale and stretched, as if held up by something inside pushing outward. Mom? I whispered. Her head tilted unnaturally. You came home, she said. Her voice sounded like 2 voices blended into one, hers and something else beneath it. My father stepped forward. We've been waiting for you. Marcus was last to move, and when he did, I saw his smile. It wasn't his smile. Why did you leave us? He whispered. I stumbled backward. Because you disappeared. You left us. I never left, he said. I've always been here. His voice trembled, not with sadness, but with hunger. I ran. I locked myself in my childhood room, heart racing, hands shaking. Think, I whispered to myself. I remembered something, an old journal Marcus kept. One my mother wouldn't let me see. I threw open the closet and dug through boxes until I found it. The leather cover was cracked, the pages stiff with age. Inside were dozens of entries. Day 14. The voices won't stop. They say our family isn't really ours. That something lives inside us, passed down from blood to blood. Day 27. They want her. My sister. They keep saying she's the last one they need. My breath caught. Day 39. I think I understand now. We're vessels. Shells. The curse keeps replacing us with them. Mother is changing first. Then father. I feel them inside me too. If they take me, they'll go after her next. Day 40. I have to leave before they use me to find her. If anyone finds this, tell her not to come home. Tears blurred my vision. My family hadn't abandoned me. They were trying to protect me. But now, it was too late. A soft knock came at the door. I looked up. The doorknob twisted. I grabbed the window latch and yanked it open. Cold night air rushed in. The door cracked. My father's voice seeped through the gap. Come out, sweetheart. Let us see you. I climbed onto the window ledge. My mother's voice followed, layered with something inhuman. Don't leave your family. The door burst open. I jumped. Pain shot through my ankle as I landed in the bushes, but adrenaline pushed me forward. I sprinted toward my car, not daring to look back. Behind me, I heard them stepping out of the house. Their footsteps were wrong, uneven, clicking, dragging. I reached the car, yanked the door open, and threw myself inside. My hands shook as I jammed the key into the ignition. The headlights flashed on, revealing the three figures standing at the edge of the driveway. Smiling. Watching. Waiting. I sped off into the darkness. Hours later, I pulled into the church parking lot, shaking and exhausted. The priest rushed out, relief flooding his face. You're safe, he whispered. Thank God. I saw them, I said, voice cracked. They're not human anymore. He nodded solemnly. The curse takes the body first, then the mind. They become vessels for something ancient. Something hungry. I swallowed painfully. What happens now? The priest clenched his jaw. We break the cycle. How? I whispered. He placed a hand on my shoulder. By ending what started generations ago. But to do that, he hesitated. You will have to face them again. My heart pounded. I can't. They're gone. They're monsters. No, he said gently. They were taken. But their souls might still be trapped inside. You may be their only hope. I closed my eyes. My parents. My brother. The family I lost. Maybe they weren't lost after all. When I opened my eyes, I said the words I never thought I could. What do I have to do? The priest handed me a small, ancient box. Inside was a ring, old, tarnished, carved with symbols I couldn't understand. This belonged to the first woman in your bloodline who escaped the curse, he said. She created a way to sever the connection. I looked up at him. Will it hurt them? He hesitated. It may hurt their bodies. But it will free their souls. Tears stung my eyes. I nodded. The priest gently squeezed my hand. We do this at dawn. Prepare yourself. We stood in the driveway just as the first orange streaks of sunlight appeared. The house loomed before us, silent, waiting. I held the ring tightly in my fist, its metal warm against my skin. They'll come out when they sense you, the priest whispered. The door creaked open. My mother stepped out first. Her face twisted, shifting between human and something else. My darling, she breathed. Come home. My father followed, then Marcus. I stepped forward, tears streaming down my cheeks. I'm sorry I left, I whispered. Marcus's eyes flickered. For a moment, the darkness inside them trembled. And I saw it, a spark of him. A piece of my brother still trapped inside. It's okay, he whispered weakly. Just do it. I raised the ring. The sky brightened. A scream ripped through the air, not from them, but from something inside them. Something ancient and furious. The ground trembled as beams of light shot from the ring and wrapped around the three figures. They convulsed. They twisted. They shattered into ash. And then... silence. Only the wind remained. I fell to my knees, sobbing. The priest knelt beside me, placing a gentle hand on my shoulder. "It's over," he whispered. "You freed them." After the ritual, I closed the house forever. I locked the door, boarded the windows, and threw the keys into the river. But sometimes, when the night is quiet, when the air gets cold, I swear I still hear footsteps. Upstairs. Just like before. Only now, when I listen closely, the footsteps sound lighter. Gentler. Like someone watching over me. Someone protecting me. Someone who finally came home.